Good morning. Thank you so much for being here today. My name is Sonya Barlow. I will be leading this keynote, but most importantly, I just want to welcome you all to this event, just to acknowledge the times that we are living in. I am doing this keynote from my kitchen. So this is everything that we want it to be online, going digital using technology. Thank you so much for joining us today. Thank you so much for taking this time out to learn and to acknowledge what is going to be an amazing event. And thank you so much, Institute of Coding, for launching an event which is all about upskilling and creating this great initiative for women in tech, in digital, and in STEM. Ironically enough, I had slides for this, but the slides, I don't think you can share them on here, so I'm just going to wing it, right? And that's very much my strategy. Before we start the session, for those who are listening, for those who are joining, I want to make a few things really clear. This is your time, and this is most importantly, your session to get involved, to ask questions. A traditional keynote would have been me speaking at you for 15, 20 minutes. This type of keynote, I want it to be very interactive. So please feel free to share questions. Feel free to ask anything that you want to ask and really get involved. Before we start the session, I want to remind you that everything is going to be okay. We are living in a time of uncertainty. Just 4 months ago, we would have never imagined that digital and technology would be saving us. And I use the word saving us because I know that being online saved me. We hadn't realized the power of community online. We hadn't realized the skills we need to take us into the future. Most importantly, we hadn't realized what it really means to live and breathe technology. If I may, I'd like to tell you a story that takes us back around 10 years. So I'm currently 27 and I have no shame in sharing my age. 10 years ago, I was in secondary school and in sixth form. So as you can imagine, a lot of young people right now are struggling because their exams have been taken away from them and they've been shared on their predicted grades. When I was in school, I took maths, further maths, sociology, and business. Now, I remember my teacher in maths telling me that I should drop the subject because I just wasn't good enough. I remember my confidence breaking because I wanted to go into STEM and yet I didn't see anyone that looked or felt like me. And I was the first child in my family and the oldest to go to university. And so I didn't really have a sense of role models or any inspiration. When I started applying for university, I freaked out. I didn't want to be the only girl in chemistry. I didn't want to be the only girl in physics. I didn't want to be the only girl in my subject. And so I took business. Teachers, I believe, are our school parents. But sometimes teachers also don't know your potential, just like we don't know our potential. Unfortunately, when I was younger at school, I lost my confidence and didn't listen to my gut. And so I went to university and took business. I studied business for 4 years, graduated, and fell into the world of technology. Now, I want to say fell in because for most of us who have graduated or who have found our first job through another alternative form of education, we know that the first job you kind of just take because you don't want to be left without anything. And so I started technology. I started working in the world of data. My first job enabled me to understand 20 million customers and their data, their trends, how they buy products, where they shop, why they buy cat food and not dog food, why they buy lactose-free milk and not skimmed milk. I worked for a company called dunnhumby, which is owned by Tesco. dunnhumby was the company to make the first ever Tesco club card. Now, I'd grown up next to a Tesco. I'm a massive Tesco loyal fan. And here I was understanding why customers are shopping the way they are. I didn't even know that was possible. I didn't know that the Nutella coupons I get through my door was actually someone on the other side looking at my purchasing behavior thinking, hey, Sonya hasn't eaten Nutella for 6 months. Let's drop her a coupon so she can come back in and scoop it up. I hadn't realized that the placements that you do online are actually created by companies and individuals who are trying to share or sell you a product. But most importantly, what I didn't realize is how embedded technology, digital, and data are in our everyday lives. I had absolutely no clue that what we do and what we say can now be shared as trends. And as stalkerish as it is, at the same time, it's super exciting. And this was 5 years ago. The only issue was that in my first and second company, I didn't see people who looked like me. And when I say look like me, I mean a young, brown, quite chatty, passionate individual. There was a lack of diversity and there was a lack of inclusion, but most importantly, there was a lack of progression for myself. And at the same time, I had no social media, which meant I didn't know where my community was offline or online. And I most importantly didn't realize the power that technology harnesses and can hold when you're finding your friendship group. So my first question to you all is, if you are in a tough time, if you are mentally down, if you are not having a great day, do you have friends that you can lean on? And most importantly, do you have community that you can lean on? Now, I want to see the answers in the chat, so please do let me know. 1 in 4 of us, according to the Mind UK charity, are suffering from mental health issues, and 1 in 5, according to the British Red Cross, are feeling lonely and isolated. 2 years ago, I was lonely and isolated. I didn't know how to progress. I didn't know how to move. I was tired of just being a nobody, to be honest. I was tired of just being a daughter or a sister or a girlfriend. I was like, I don't know who Sonya is. I don't know what I stand for. I have no real value system. And so through a point of frustration and very much annoyance, I started a LinkedIn group called Like-Minded Females. Imagine I only had about 200 connections. And so I added those 200 connections into this closed group, and I started sharing content on how we can progress and how we can move forward and how we can get promoted. 2 weeks later, I got super brave. And I said, right, I'm going to go and create a brunch because I love avocado and I'm going to assume that you love avocado too. So I created our first brunch event at London Grind in London Bridge. I got there super early. As you can see, I've got a pink lip on and red nails. So I had a whole face of makeup. I had my favorite top on. I even treated my partner to breakfast in the morning because I was like, I'm going to go meet these amazing women who are going to change my life and I'm going to change theirs. And I got there and I sat down with my best friend, Dewey, who came for support. And 45 minutes later, the restaurant asked for our tables back because nobody showed up. I absolutely felt like I failed. Like I made a mistake and felt back into my hole that nobody wanted to be my friend. But at the same time, I realized that how can I want a sense of community when people didn't know anything about me? So how could I want to know something about them? And so that was learning number 1. If you are online, if you are using digital, even if you are in this forum today, What do you want someone to know about you? What should they know about you? Are you using the tools and resources we have, especially virtually, to make sure that your profile is where it needs to be? Are you using online content and social media forums to find your tribe and find your community, but most importantly, find your identity? I didn't stop there though. I thought, all right, no one showed up for the first brunch. Maybe they don't like avocados. I see that some people here don't like avocados, and that's completely fine. So I was like, right, next we're going to go for pancakes. People must like pancakes. Come on, they'll show up here. No one showed up. By the third brunch, though, I had my friends show up. And by the fourth brunch, we had 20 people. What changed? I changed. I started understanding why I'm doing it. It wasn't just for the avocado and it wasn't just for the pancakes. It was for the friends, for the livelihood, for the energy, and most importantly, for the conversation. I started being a little bit more active and vocal on LinkedIn. Now, that doesn't mean I was sharing my thoughts, and it doesn't mean I was trying to showcase necessarily my personality, but it does mean that I was sharing relevant content that I wanted us to talk about, such as careers and confidence and what it really means to be a woman in tech. And then I opened myself up and I became vulnerable. I put myself in another position where maybe I could get hurt and maybe I could make a mistake and maybe I could fail. But what if something great came out of it? And that's lesson number 2. Don't be afraid to put yourself in uncomfortable situations, because you can most importantly learn, and you will most importantly learn. You can find yourself, your identity, your values, but most importantly, you can maybe learn what you don't like. And that's just as much important as what you do. It is super easy to create a community, and it is super easy to join a community. And most importantly, community can help us to find a sense of identity. It can help us to find confidence. It can help us to find ourselves and what we really stand for. Imagine 2 years ago, I hosted 3.5 brunches that nobody showed up to. I'm sitting here today because that same brunch club, that was meant to be nothing, has now transformed into a global, not-for-profit social enterprise and agency of change. We've gone from not even being able to have 12 people around our table to empowering and connecting 17,000 people online. We've gone from not even being able to have 12 people around our table to upskilling 2,000 people globally, delivering 110 workshops, creating this affordable, accessible, and most importantly, this free. And I want to really empathize and emphasize the word free. We have technology. Everyone is online. Over 90% of the UK population, over 60% of the global population are online. Over 70% are looking for community, over 90% looking for connections. We don't need to be paying to get involved. We don't need to be in positions of distress to find our friends. We just need to know where to look. The reason that I am leading this keynote today is because my journey has been a journey very similar to many of ours. I've started from a place where I didn't even think I was good enough. I definitely didn't have a sense of community. And those around me maybe didn't feel the same energy or vibe which I had to give, and tried to put me down. I made choices because I was too scared to be uncomfortable, because I was too worried about what people would think. I ended up picking subjects that maybe didn't make the most of the skills I had. And then we talk about skills. I was put in positions, especially in the tech world, where often I was told that I wasn't going to get anywhere because I'm not technical. Now, here's a secret that maybe many of us don't know. You don't need to be technical to be in tech. Lesson number 3. You do not need to be technical to be in tech. Do you know what you need to be? Curious, adventurous, motivated, a problem solver, organized, fun, passive, active, reserved, isolated, innovative, content. Now, all of these are very different, right? And yet they're the same. The point being that you yourself, in your full authenticity, in the best self that you are, you can be in technology and you can be a digital woman. Please do not ever let anybody tell you that you cannot be, that you are not good enough, that you cannot make it. Of course you can. Because technically, and tech and technology are not the same thing. We are living a life of technology. We are on digital all the time. We are online all the time. We are delivering this virtual conference from our bedrooms. Now, I didn't need to be a coder for me to get here. And yet I wish I was, but it's just not my skill set. So here's something that I want you all to take away and to take away with you today as homework. It's the 3 S's, an acronym that I quite made up because I quite enjoy acronyms. So first thing is I want you to lay out and brainstorm all of your skills and strengths that you think you have. Everything. Now, take Post-it notes and go crazy, or a notebook, or if you've got your phone, just write everything that you think you have as a skill or a strength. Anything and everything. For each skill and each strength, I want you to write a success story. A time where you've been successful with that skill or strength, big or small. And for each skill and now each success, I want you to write a so what, i.e., what is the impact of the results that you have driven, big or small? Every win is a win, right? And every time you haven't won, you've learned. So we're still winning. My point being that the skills of the future, the skills that we need in technology, the skills to empower and to drive us, are the skills that we have been learning and using every day since we were kids. Remember as a child when you were in the park and you were running around, jumping on the monkey bars and going down the slide and probably on the seesaw, and you fell down? Maybe you grazed your knee, maybe you hurt your elbow. And then you got up, possibly you cried a little bit, but then you brushed it off and you tried again, right? Maybe you didn't go on the same monkey bar, maybe you didn't go on the same swing, but you definitely went back to a park, a ground, a piece of land. That didn't stop you from trying. That most definitely did not allow you to give up from having fun and taking on this challenge and enjoying yourself. And so those are the skills of the future. That is what a digital woman needs and wants and can be. The skills of the future, over 57% of leaders say are softer skills. Over 75% of businesses are now looking for softer skills. Softer skills include empathy. They include communication skills. They include you being able to hold down a conversation. They ask you to be creative. They ask you to be curious. Now, if you harness those skills, Of course, you can do anything and everything. Critical skills, cognitive, flexible, cognitive flexibility, which means just the different way of thinking, empathy, innovative skills, and communication skills are the skills of the future. As women, unfortunately, we have been socialized to compete. We have been socialized to think that there's only one seat at the table. I'm here telling you, showing you, showcasing that if there's only one seat at the table and you want to bring your friends along, then you go find another table and you go make your own table. We do not need to be living in a time where we are fighting each other and we are comparing. What we do need to be doing is we need to be sponsoring, we need to be mentoring, we need to be championing, we need to be cheerleading each other. We need to be our biggest allies. What can you do to make the most of today and the most of tomorrow? One, you can definitely start living as your future self. And what that means is think about who you want to be tomorrow and who you want to be in the next 3 years and live like her, live like your best authentic self today. 2 is think about what really drives you. What are your value drivers? If you were to pick 5 things that you want to be known for, what would they be? An example being, I want to be a public speaker. I want to be known for my great work in diversity. I want to be known for my great work in technology, right? So public speaking, diversity, technology. Confidence is a big one. And community building. So those are my 5. The point being that now I have 5, I will only say yes to things that fit within these 5. And those other things that come my way, I will share with a friend or a community member or a colleague who I know can do it far better than I can. And lastly, 80% of your opportunities come through your network, come through your community, come through your friendship group. So if 80% of them come through those that you are surrounded by, I want you to take a step back actively and think, who am I surrounded by? Do they serve your energy? Do they really help you progress? And how do you complement one another? I'm not saying go and get new friends, but I am saying that if you feel like they're not amplifying you where you need to go, use the tech that we have in the palm of our hands. Use that to find your community online. Take it and find your group of people who can really help you to thrive in tech, to thrive in digital, and to thrive to become the person that you need to be. I'm going to end the session the way I started it. Everything will be fine. Everything is always fine. But I want you to be fine being yourself and your truest self. I want you to have a great time knowing that you are good enough and you are capable enough and you can do what you need to do. And I want you to thrive in your own circumstances, feeling a little bit uncomfortable, but most importantly, allowing yourself to be challenged and to constantly learn. My name is Sonya Barlow. I'm an award-winning entrepreneur, a diversity coach, a podcast host, a community builder, and a woman in tech. I'm the founder of Like-Minded Females, aka LMF Network, CIC. We are a not-for-profit global social enterprise, changing the narrative of inclusion. Our core mission is to enable and educate women and minoritized groups or individuals into tech, business, and entrepreneurship. And we do this through life skills workshops, mentorship schemes, and training. Go out and find your friendship group, go out and find your network, go out and find your sense of community. Go out and find them over pancakes, over avocados, over coffee, over tea, over sports, whatever suits you. But please use this time to connect, to converse, and most importantly, to find your sense of self and discover what it really means to be a woman in technology today. You can find me on social media at Sonya Barlow UK, Twitter, LinkedIn, and Instagram. I have a booth here at the expo. And of course, I want to thank you again, yourselves and the Institute of Coding, for allowing me to share my story. And most importantly, for setting up this event for yourselves to really drive home the message on how important it is to be a woman in digital, to be a woman in tech, and how we can all thrive together.